Welcome to StarWatch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
48 hours after the lights dimmed at Weibo Night, the conversation had not faded. It had intensified. Across entertainment columns, fashion editorials, social platforms, and industry commentaries, one name continued to rise above the noise. Wang Yibo was no longer being described as merely a guest on the red carpet. He was being framed as a phenomenon. Headlines spoke of composure, of restraint, of a presence that did not demand attention, yet commanded it effortlessly. In an industry built on speed and spectacle, the media paused and chose words usually reserved for legacy figures. What exactly happened in those 48 hours? How did a single appearance evolve into a narrative about authority, longevity, and cultural symbolism? Tonight on StarWatch Now, we are not simply revisiting a fashion moment. We are examining how a carefully measured return reshaped perception, reignited debate, and reminded the industry why certain figures are never truly replaced. When Wang Yibo stepped onto the red carpet at Weibo Night, the first reaction was visual. The Zhongshan suit carried echoes of heritage, discipline, and quiet structure. Yet paired with contemporary tailoring and subtle luxury details, it did not feel nostalgic. It felt intentional. Within minutes, fashion commentators began describing the look as a dialogue between eras. Some called it a revival of modern Chinese aesthetics. Others described it as a masterclass in minimalism. What made the commentary fascinating was not just praise for the garment itself, but the interpretation behind it. The suit became a metaphor. It suggested grounding. It suggested maturity. It suggested someone who understands where he stands in the present, because he knows where he has come from. Then came the second layer, movement. Wang Yibo did not rush. His pace was steady, hands placed casually in his pockets, offering small nods rather than theatrical gestures. Cameras captured a 90-degree bow backstage, neat and respectful. Within hours, that single motion was replayed across short-form clips, described as dignified, disciplined, even disarming. Media outlets highlighted the contrast. A figure often labelled reserved, yet capable of warmth expressed through restraint rather than exuberance. It was subtle, and perhaps that subtlety is precisely what resonated. 48 hours later, analysts were no longer discussing only fabric or posture. They were discussing positioning. That this appearance marked his first major public event after stepping back from regular screen projects in 2025 to focus on professional racing and documentary work. In an era when visibility is currency, stepping away can feel risky. Yet the narrative that formed suggested the opposite. Commentators noted that absence had not diminished relevance. If anything, it had sharpened it. The language used by the press reflected this shift. Rather than asking whether he could maintain his standing, they explored how his choices reinforced it. To understand why this moment carried weight, one must revisit the foundation of his journey. In 2019, projects such as The Untamed and The King's Avatar brought widespread recognition. His portrayal of Lan Wangji in The Untamed resonated deeply with audiences for its quiet intensity and emotional control. It demonstrated that stillness can be powerful, that discipline can be expressive. Later collaborations and varied roles continued to expand his range, challenging early assumptions often directed at young idols. Media commentary in recent years has gradually shifted from questioning capability to acknowledging craft. That shift did not happen overnight. It was built project by project, decision by decision. What makes the Weibo Night appearance compelling is how it aligned with that trajectory. The press observed that he did not capitalize on peak popularity by saturating the market with appearances. Instead, he selected engagements carefully. His focus on racing and documentary storytelling added another dimension to his public identity. It suggested curiosity beyond entertainment, an appetite for challenge, and a willingness to grow outside familiar frameworks. When he returned to the red carpet, he did so not as someone seeking validation, but as someone comfortable with evolution. Another reason the coverage expanded so rapidly lies in contrast. The evening featured vibrant colors, dramatic silhouettes, and high-energy entrances from many attendees. Against that backdrop, Wang Yibo's restrained palette and composed demeanor created visual tension. Contrast attracts attention. Media professionals understand this instinctively. When one presence diverges from the prevailing rhythm, it becomes a focal point. Within fashion circles, discussions emerged about proportion, posture, and the confidence required to let simplicity speak. Industry commentators praised the confidence embedded in understatement. There was also the element of cultural resonance. The Zhongshan suit carries historical symbolism. Its reappearance in contemporary luxury contexts often sparks conversation about identity and reinterpretation. By choosing that silhouette, he participated in a broader dialogue about tradition and modernity. Journalists frame this not as costume, but as statement, a suggestion that heritage can coexist with global style language. For younger audiences navigating questions of identity in a rapidly shifting cultural landscape, that balance feels meaningful. The emotional response from viewers further fueled momentum. Supporters expressed pride, describing the look as refined and dignified. Casual observers admitted curiosity. Even those typically neutral acknowledged the clarity of the image presented. Importantly, the tone of most discussions remained centered on artistry and professionalism rather than sensationalism. In a digital climate where controversy often dominates, this kind of discourse feels refreshing. It demonstrates that measured presence can generate as much engagement as spectacle. Media psychology also played a role. When an individual steps away from constant exposure, anticipation builds. Re-emergence becomes an event. The 48-hour window allowed commentary to accumulate rather than dissipate. Each outlet added interpretation, layering perspectives until the narrative felt cohesive. Words such as composed, strategic, disciplined, and assured began to repeat across platforms. Repetition reinforces perception. By the second day, the storyline had crystallized. This was not merely attendance at an awards ceremony. It was confirmation of enduring stature. Beyond fashion and positioning, there was a quieter message about pacing in modern careers. The entertainment industry often rewards speed, yet longevity requires calibration. Wang Yibo's trajectory suggests a deliberate rhythm, peaks followed by recalibration, visibility balanced with focus. The media's description within those 48 hours reflected recognition of that rhythm. They were, in essence, acknowledging consistency beneath transformation. Another fresh dimension rarely highlighted lies in the generational shift occurring within Chinese entertainment. As audiences mature, expectations evolve. There is increasing appreciation for artists who demonstrate range, discipline, and social awareness. By investing time in documentary storytelling and professional sport, he broadened the narrative beyond celebrity. That expansion strengthens credibility. When he appears in formal settings, the perception extends beyond performer to multifaceted creator. The media response subtly captured this evolution. Even the conversation about his hairstyle contributed to the larger picture. Slightly wavy, softer than previous structured looks, it signaled adaptability. Fashion commentators described it as relaxed, yet intentional. In visual storytelling, hair can alter silhouette and mood. The effect here was to soften severity while maintaining authority. That balance mirrors his broader public persona, controlled yet approachable. Ultimately, the reason this story resonated so widely is that it transcended surface detail. It tapped into themes of return, restraint, heritage, growth, and quiet confidence. Audiences are drawn to narratives that reflect progression rather than repetition. 48 hours after the event, the media had effectively framed the appearance as a chapter in a continuing journey rather than an isolated highlight. And perhaps that is the most compelling lesson. Influence is not always loud. Authority does not require excess. Sometimes a steady walk, a respectful bow, and a thoughtfully chosen silhouette can speak volumes about direction and intention. In a world saturated with noise, clarity stands out. If you've enjoyed this deeper look into how a single appearance can reshape perception and spark meaningful discussion, don't forget to subscribe to StarWatch Now. We explore the stories behind the spotlight, the strategy behind the image, and the emotion behind the headlines. And thank you for spending your time with us today. Your support allows this channel to continue analyzing the moments that define modern entertainment. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know which event you would like us to examine next. Until our next story, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep watching closely.